Hey YouTube, just putting up a video on a new surfskate design I've come up with. It's based on an original surfskate board. Might be a bit hard to see with that background there on the carpet, but yeah, I've taken the 42-inch original surfskate design board, rounded the nose off because that was a killer machine at the skate park. I've set the wheel spacing at 20-inch from axle to axle, front to back, and mind my video skilllessness, I'm using Avenue suspension trucks. Yeah, got these trucks for a Bamboo 33 8.25 originally when I started taking up skateboarding again at the ripe old age of 50, and was hoping that I could do some tricks, but my knees and ankles just ain't up to that. So what I ended up doing was fitting these avenues. You may have seen them around. Fitted these avenues to my surfskate. Now I originally tried a Carver C7, a Smoothstar thruster, a Surfskate, the original design with the single tension spring, and none of that worked for me. Well, the Smoothstar did, and the Carver C7 did, so got to be fair, they work pretty damn good, those two. Only problem with the Smoothstar, weighs a ton. So if you like to tic-tac around a little bit just to do a tight pivot or something like that, there's a lot more weight there that you've got to throw around, which is a little bit off-putting. When you get used to it, yeah, not so bad, but to start with, it's a real pain in the butt. So I decided, okay, there's got to be a better way. I tried the Surfskate, and that was a, well, I'm not going to say it on YouTube, but yeah, it wasn't so good. It's a nosediver. It dives around everywhere. It is so loose. They might have improved it a bit with the V-truck design with 2 tension springs. The original one only had single tension spring in it, but the V-truck might be a bit better. I've not tried that. The C7 was good from Carver. Love to try the Yow, but didn't have enough money to go around to try everything. So I decided I'm going to hack my own job, and this is what I came up with. This is a Avenue suspension truck, mega modified. It's facing the wrong way around is the first thing that most people will say. Hey, why is the kingpin bolt facing forwards? It should be facing backwards. Well, that's because it's not a pivot design anymore. It's a swivel design. So pivot design, it goes side to side to turn for you compressing the bushes here, and that gives you your turn. Swivel design, so that's pivot, this is swivel. Swings side to side, and that's what most surf skates do. They swing from side to side. But they also then incorporate an element of pivot. And if you look at the Surfskate, they've got some pivot springs and a torsional axle there. Smoothstar, Yow have a separate, completely separate truck base assembly and hanger that fits onto their device. Carver C7 has an inbuilt pivot assembly with the 2 bushes as well. I've not got a pivot assembly on this one. I've just got the swing design happening here. And the reason for that is, if I show you the back truck quickly, again, forgive my editing skills, old fingers in the way. You'll not be able to see it real well here on the video because I'm a lousy videographer, but you can pivot this thing, and what's happening underneath that bushing assembly there, and I wish I could show it better, but I can't because I suck at this, but maybe you might see it a bit there. This torsional leaf spring assembly here, okay, well, I say torsional, it's basically a suspension system, leaf spring suspension system. I'm an engineer, so it's basically of a Model T Ford design. It's a single leaf assembly, and what happens is that basically compresses and responds. It's a special grade of spring steel that they've used. Well, when I say special, it's the greatest spring steel that you can get. and it's awesome. One thing it does that most people don't realize though is it not only suspends but it torsions. So it not only goes just straight on. Hang on, look, my hand here is the spring. Okay, see? So it's going like that most of the time. All right, up and down, suspension mode. But when you've got a rigid axle attached to it, which I've got on the front, it's doing that still, but it's also doing this. Alright, it's twisting a little bit. So that's where I get my pivot from for my surf truck design to come up with. So I've got the swing design, and then I've got an element of pivot. You can feel it. I can't show it really well, but you can feel it. When you twist on it, it pivots across. So I'm still getting a pivot effect. Not as pronounced as you would with rubber bushings, but you can feel it when you're riding it. But what I love about this is that all the other designs I've ridden, Smoothstar, Thruster, Carver C7, I've not ridden the CX, they all replicate the surf feeling as best as I can get it pretty well once you tune them in. You have to mess around a little bit to suit your style. I didn't have that with the Surfskate. The Surfskate felt like a loose fish twin fin trying to be ridden in 8-foot surf, and it just was slipping out and nose diving and rail biting and all sorts of bad behaviour. I really did not like it. I gave it a good hard 3-4 days to try to get used to it. Didn't happen for me. Some people say, oh, you've got to ride it for 2 hours to get used to it, and bleh. Okay, enough bagging it out. Their deck though is absolutely brilliant. I love this deck. It's absolutely awesome. It's not their standard colour pattern. I hacked it out, and it was a white, and I just smudged it up and put some lines on it. But getting back to this front truck, this is what I want to show you guys, because I think this is a great DIY. That anyone who wants to try a Surfskate design, they can have a crack at this. You can buy a set of Avenue trucks. If you go online and you look at how much Carver charge for the CXs or the C7s, you're up around $200 for a set of those. Okay. If you go to Smoothstar, they're not going to sell you a truck separately. If you go to Surfskate, they're not going to sell you a truck separately. If you go to Yao, same sort of deal with Carver, same sort of price range. You can go to Glutier, I think that's how to pronounce it. They do a C7 equivalent, and again, same sort of price range. Huge bucks for a set of trucks, and you know, really can't see the justification in it, because what you can do is you can hack out a set of these. A set of these will cost you about $60 front and back, say $70. Okay, that's 2 truck sets complete, no wheels. Okay, on top of that, you go to Surfskate website, you get a couple of their steering springs. You then got your return to center device, so that gives you the torsional effect and the spring back to center. Then you get out the angle grinder. Watch my thumb, watch my finger. And you just hack that sucker off. Now that's it there at the front, and drop them back here with my fine video editing skills. Oh, where am I? Oh, there we are. You can see I've hacked a fair bit off that, flattened it out, and that's so I can get the springs on it. I then popped a series of holes through just to slip the springs in. I hope you guys can see that. And then on the hanger there, I've just drilled some 2mm holes. Actually, they're 3mm. I went oversize on them. I'll probably have to buy a complete new truck once that wears through, but oh well. It was experimenting. You're coming around the mountain here, looking at it nose on, and you're going, what's all that shiny shiz? Well, they're bearings, thrust bearings. 51110s to be precise. Buy them off eBay. They're basically a 10mm center with a, see, is it 22mm OD? Yeah, 22mm OD and about a 9mm height. I've got a couple of little nylon washers here, but you can use 3/8 steel washers as well. They'll do the job nicely. And just your standard lock nut. So you just pack them in. They fit straight into the hanger base there, the hanger recess, and then just lock down your nut so that it's nice and tight. Getting these springs on can be a bit of a bitch of a thing, and what I would recommend is that you fit the springs first and then drag the hanger up over the bolt, okay? Um, and then put all your rest of your running gear on top there and tighten your nut down, and then you'll be sweet. When you ride this thing, it's going to be a little bit different. You do have to use a bit of front foot swing, but you do that in surfing anyway. But most of your drive on your carving comes from the back. And another benefit of this suspension truck design on the back is that you get a huge thrust burst out of that. When it torsions up and releases, it kicks back a lot of that energy you put into it. It's not like an elastomer. Yeah, elastomer will spring back like a rubber ball, and that's probably around about 80% efficient energy return. Steel is going to give you up around 95% efficiency of energy return that you put into that. Compared to the rubber, it's going to be so much more energy return, and you can notice that when you're carving. I've got, I don't know what width these are. I can't remember what width I bought, but what I do next time is I probably order a set and two different widths. I probably order a slightly wider one for the back and just a slightly narrower one for the front. But that's just preference, okay? These two are both the same and it performs beautifully. What I'll try to do in the next few weeks is I'll go up to my local skate park and I'll lay down a couple of sessions and just show you how it pumps around the circuit up there. And that'll give you an idea, but I have to wait for the rain to stop. So that's it, guys, in a nutshell. There's a surf skating hack that you can put together for yourselves at a budget price. If you can't get one of these decks, get around about a 33-34 inch deck, use a 20-inch wheel spacing, and just throw those mods together on the trucks. Oh, shoot, almost forgot. I've got about I don't know what that, you get a protractor, see if you can work out what degree that is. It's not much, but it's a slight slant riser there, okay? Very slight slant. It makes a world of difference. Helps to pivot on that front truck a lot. And I just got flat packers at the back. I actually got to put another one in the back there just to bring the back up a little bit to even it out. What you'll find is if you have the back wheels lower than the front, it would tend to pop wheelies on you. So it gets a little bit funny like that. So you've got to try to balance it out so have the same sort of height front and back. I'm running 63mm. These were the Surfskate wheels that were on the front truck originally. On the back now, they're 63mm by I think 45s. On the front here, I'm running 56 by 30s. They're both around about 80A hardness, and I find that the back ones, if you go too much wider than what's on there, you, depending on your weight and your style, you can power slide it, but it gets a little bit harder if they're a bit wider than that. And the front ones, I just like them narrow because they track real well. And I've rounded shoulders on those as well. If you see that they're slightly rounded on the inside shoulders. I didn't do so much on the back, but that's when I get up on the coping. If you've got a square lip on there, it tends to bite onto it and it can grab. And these been a little bit sketchy sometimes, like they turn on a dime. So if you get a rock under the wheel, it can sketch out a little bit on you, but it's not too bad. But if you get the coping too hard, it might bite if you have square shoulders on those wheels. So just be aware of that. Not hard to do. I just spun mine up with an angle grinder and just beveled the edge. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell, folks. Hope that helps someone determine a good hack for themselves, and get back to me and let me know what you think and how your experiments go. Thanks, guys.